We are now on the record. Welcome. We've just been talking about how we were drunk. No.
Too early in the morning. Too early in the morning.
Yes, it is. So we're going to be talking today about time-saving tips and social media systems, because I think definitely when you have systems in place, you're going to save time. So these two things go well together, and especially on social media where we can all be distracted by cat videos. Yesterday, I was watching cat curling on my, I posted on Facebook. I couldn't.
You know, it's interesting. I have a funny story. When I first started teaching, now this goes way back. This probably 25 years. Is that possible?
Yeah.
And I started teaching a music class, and it was interesting because I came to that position as an artist. Okay. I totally thought I could come into the classroom and then just create the lesson plan for the day and just have everything work. And what happened was so much of my time was taken up in that creation process that I really wasn't effective. And so I had to learn to plan, and I had to learn to schedule, and I had to learn to research. And even those things seem like they take more time. They actually shortened the amount of time that I had in creating the lesson plan, and I became more effective. So sometimes the things that you think are counterintuitive to do will actually save you time in the long run.
Right. So true. I always resist. I think, well, I can just get this. I always resist giving something to VA or someone on my team because I think, well, I'll just get this done quicker. And when I've done the process of putting it in a record where they know it's a system, I say, here's what you do. You do step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and send it off to them. It just saves so much time in the long run. It's just the future benefit for the time right now. So it's very hard to think about that future benefit sometimes. So So let's talk about there's another retired teacher in there, Skincare N. It's a retired teacher. So
so you know what it's like. So you get that,
So let's talk about some time-saving tips, and we're gonna talk a little bit, and then we're gonna bring you guys on for some of your best time-saving tips and putting together things in systems. I want to talk first about tracking your time, because I think you don't really know where you're at as a baseline until you measure it. So you might have a feeling that you're wasting a lot of time in certain areas, or you might have a feeling that you're spending time in certain areas and you don't really know. So there's lots of time tracking devices out there. So Toggl is one of my favorite, TOGGL.com. And that just allows you, I'm going to put that in the chat there. That just allows you to really just sit and track everything and kind of, put it into a whole system and categorize it so you can look at it later. So that's one of my favorite time tracking devices, but I've also sometimes resisted that just because I'm like, I don't have time to set that up. So one thing I did was I just put together an Excel spreadsheet in 15-minute increments for my whole day, 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. or whatever. Sometimes I had to put on time earlier or before that, and I just put in what I was working on in those 15-minute increments. I just wrote it down. Sometimes the old school is best, right? So
keeping a paper journal next to you would do the same sort of thing, and that same thing only in technology would be something like Rescue Time. Which sits behind everything that you do and tracks what you do, and sort of really is that unbiased spy that lets you know exactly where you're spending your time. And I was just listening to a Periscope from Darren this morning, and it was very interesting how he ended up doing it, because he developed basically the same calendar system that I developed for myself. But when he did the Rescue Time app, what happened is he found that 60% of his time was spent on social. Well, that would make sense for us because that's where our business is. Yeah. But he also found that 20% of his time was on email. And this can be the killer, is the email. And so let's talk about some tips about using email. One thing that I like to do in terms of time saving is to, in my calendar, only look at email 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's
and
really
only look at
just
email
much.
3. And I also have priority inbox set up for me on Gmail so that the people that I have designated as important will show up at the top. And I know everything else underneath that is not so important. So if I have to go into email, I've trained myself just to look at that top email. And then in the afternoon, when I have set aside for working with email, I can go through those other things at the bottom. Also, Unroll is really important for email.
That's unroll.me, right?
I'm pretty sure it is. Didn't get that. Is. Yes. And that, oh my gosh, talk about a time saver, because now you can take all of that email that you would normally be getting, putting it into one email, easily be able to scan through it, pull out the ones you want to look at and deal with it. It made a huge difference in my email time saving systems about a year or so ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't tried that tool yet. I'm going to try that tool, I think, right now, because one of the interesting things that came out of me tracking my time in that 15-minute increments is I found out that between both email systems, replying on Facebook messages, LinkedIn messages, all the places where we get those inbound messages that we have to respond to, I was spending about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours a day on email. And that was shocking to me. And so what I did to help me save time on my emails, especially, is really work with those canned responses. So in Gmail, you can have a canned response, and you save that for something that you type frequently. So some of the things I get lots of questions to are things like, can I have an interview? Can I, things that are, or do you do this, or do you do this service? And so I have canned responses in there and actually a lot of times I get, can I get the replay to the webinar or whatever? And it's pre-written, and I might have to do a little bit of editing to it, but it gives me a great place to start. And then also what happens with that is now I've been able to outsource more of my email to my VA, and she's able to have my words that I have put together for those responses and respond to those people.
Yeah, that's great. And whenever anybody contacts me about Facebook ads, I have a canned response to contact you.
Yep. And
that's
actually,
the way it works.
And the other thing I also did with saving time on email is that I realized some of these questions I was getting to, are you available for an interview, is I set up a system. So I have a page on my website that says, thank you for requesting an interview. Here's how that works. I'm available during these times. And then I set up a Calendly, which is a calendar scheduling device, which allows me to put in the exact times I want to be available for a half-hour interview. And I limit my interviews to half hour because I was finding an hour is just a huge amount of time out of your, yeah. So I set up a Calendly, and I'm going to put that link in there in just a bit, for just interviews. And I said, okay, I'm going to be available for interviews on Thursdays or Fridays in the mornings, and I'm only going to be available for X number of interviews, and they have to schedule a week in advance or things like that. I could put rules in the calendar system so that then they could just go look at what times I had available and pick one and schedule it. So again, that's a system I put together, and I also then put a link to my bio, put little available topics I have in there. So it's a very good, actually, I'll give you a link to what that.
Yeah, let's do a quick review for email. So the things we've talked about so far is schedule time for checking your email so that you're not doing it all day long. Use unroll.me, use canned responses, and use a meeting scheduling system. And the one that I use is Schedule Once. And there's several that are really, really good. And as long as they integrate with your calendar of choice, like if you're using a G Calendar, a Google Calendar, then you're good to go. And you can check out the pricing and the look and how it looks on mobile and things like that. There's several in this category. So schedule time for checking email, use unroll.me, canned responses, and meeting scheduling systems. Is that what we got there?
That's awesome. Yeah. Nice summary.
I used to be a teacher. You remember that,
right? Yeah. So I'm actually trying to, there's lots of, I'm going to put in a little canned responses, how to use canned responses in here. That's a link on how you can use that in Google and how you set that up. It's very easy to just, and especially if you type something, if you work on an email and then you're like, you know what, I type this a lot, you can really quickly save that as a canned response.
Yeah.
And then later you can pick from it. So
now, and just also to remind everybody, if you have a question for us, we're going to open this up in just a minute, but if you have a question right away, you do the /Q, and we have a tab where we can see the questions, all just the questions, and it makes it so easy now to answer questions. So, so that was email time-saving tips and systems. Do we want to talk about another category? What category would you like to go to next?
Well, let's go into time saving on social media, because we are also kind of talking about social.
Is there such a thing? There's no such a thing.
Yeah. So, some of the time saving tips that I have actually kind of realized, which are kind of funny, is again, that systematize everything. Think about what activities you do, and then record those activities in a checklist so you don't have to think about it every single time. So we've developed a whole bunch of checklists. Actually, where's the best way to get those? We've developed a whole bunch of checklists around like what to do when setting up accounts, but we've also, in our social media examiner or social media manager school, we have a whole bunch of checklists on daily activities on social media, what you do each day, what you do each week, what you do each month, and you can just have that by your desk as a check. I've done all that, and schedule that time in your calendar to get that off your plate. But
that's and the neat thing about that is we have an updated version of that in Module 2 of Social Media Manager School, which launches tomorrow. I'm very excited about it. And what's interesting about those daily schedules is that once you get into that rhythm of check that, did that, check that, did that, you start to get into that rhythm, and you will start to get quicker. And the quicker you are, the more time you save. But it's that matter of getting used to that system. And if you have it laid out for you in the beginning so that you remember to do, because it's so easy to get distracted on social. It's so easy. And so if you don't have that next checklist to do, you might go way down the rabbit hole into cat videos. So so we're real big on these checklists until they get more internalized. But I have to say, even after you've been using them for a long time, they're helpful, because I still get distracted on social big time. It's just the nature of it.
It's definitely a procrastination technique. I think, I don't really want to do this, so I'm going to go look over and what's going on over there. And, there's when you think about putting these systems around it, so just pretend like you have to hand these tasks off to someone, and you have to record them. And that way it's almost like a manual for how you run your business. Yeah. So pretend like you have to hand these tasks off, record exactly what the minimum things you need to do, or the easy things that are that you can go do, go follow, 20 new people, go retweet, 10 posts, retweet 5 people, things like that, that would be easy to do and are repeatable, that you do all the time. So put that into a kind of a manual for your business, and now you've got a system around what you do, and that things are getting accomplished.
And definitely when you're working, if there are social media managers out there listening to us, which we hope you are, hello, how you doing? Then when you build that first contract with your client, you're going to have a list of expectations. So you can just take that list of expectations and turn it into a checklist. It's really easy to do as long as you've already developed that. And we highly recommend that you develop that list of expectations, what you're responsible for, what the client is responsible for, what their other team members are responsible for. So everybody is very clear about that. Just easy, right into a checklist, and you're good to go. So Now, there are some time-saving systems in terms of tools that we use on social media, like scheduling tools. So do we want to jump into that now? We can jump into.
Yeah, let's talk about tools for social media time saving. One of the tools that I love using is Community. I don't know how you say it. It's I'm going to put that in the
Community,
because Community. What I love about this tool for Twitter is that it kind of tells me gives me some easy, quick ways to thank new followers, easy, quick ways to thank people who've retweeted me. I can even automate that and schedule that out so I can just once a week thank people for some retweets. And, as you grow, it becomes more challenging to respond to every single thing out there. And unless you're Gary Vee, who's a crazy person in my mind.
Don't go telling him we said that. He might come over here and yell at us. So
work your face off. I like a little free time in my life to spend with my family. So it's not always possible to thank every single person for a retweet. But one of the things I just heard at this event I was in, New Media Expo or New Media Europe in Manchester with Ian, who's here on the call as well. And I don't know if anyone else from there was on, but anyway, it was Cliff Ravenscraft who said, do for some which you wish you could do for many. So, have time to give an in-depth answer to people. Thank some people for retweets as often as you can. And don't stress about the fact that you can't reply to every single thing out there. I mean, it's great if you can, but as you grow, you need to scale, and you can't do it all.
Yeah, I think around about when you have 4,000 people following you, and there's and you're producing enough content that's getting a lot of retweeting and a lot of comments on, it starts to get a little difficult. And it's also a little difficult depending on the system that you use. Like on Twitter, it's really easy to change and just see the notifications where someone's tagged you or has an at mentioned in your name. It's really easy to go through that. But you have that second layer of people who have favorited and retweeted other people's retweets of your tweets. And there's really like this huge group of people that is hard to get to through certain systems. And at some point, you just have to kind of let that go. You have to just kind of let that go. And you can publicly thank people. You can, in general for that. But systems like Community or Community or whatever is one of my favorite tools too. Now, some people get really mad when they see those because they think they're not personal. But the thing is, I read all of them.
I do too.
I read all of them. If I'm thinking some crazy thing, I'll delete it. But I do read them all. But the mechanics of collecting them is the value in that tool.
Yeah. And actually, I read them and I make sure that I follow any person that I have thanked in those tweets. I, try and go through and make sure that I'm engaging with those people as well. Now, another time-saving trick on social media that I think is valuable is make sure you're not doing things that aren't bringing you value. So,
and what would those things be?
Just stop doing them. Stop doing them. So I think that, it's interesting. I was reading a post on Buffer App about that. They realized that some of the things that they were getting caught up in, they realized weren't bringing them value. Things like thanking every single retweeter, and that's kind of along those same veins. So really make sure that you are focused in what you are able to do in those places, and don't stress about the things that you can't get to that the experts or gurus say that you have to do, because
that doesn't work. There's this thing called goal gating that I talk about when I talk about my calendar program, but I think I also learned it from Amy Porterfield, but I don't think she calls it goal gating. I'll have to go back and find out. But the whole thing about goal gating is if you have a goal in mind for your business, then before you do any action, you need to put it through the gate. Does it support the goal that you have here? And if it doesn't, you don't do it. And it's once you've set up the goal, you have a goal gate. And now every action you go, oh, does Periscope support my goal? Well, let's think about that. If yes, then you go and do it and you spend the time. If no, you don't. It's really simple, but you have to set that first goal or that main goal that you're gating. And hopefully that makes sense. And that alone will save you a tremendous amount of time because you're not jumping down places that you don't need to go that aren't supporting you.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. That's really good time-saving tips. Do we have any social media schedulers that we also wanted to highlight? Things that I also do, like Manage Flitter. I do use that to go and connect and follow people and connect with people. I use the pro version of that so that I can, have a little bit of that automated, because I think that does make sense, but it is, again, hard to make sure you're following all the people you want to follow. But, I think having some automation is not a bad thing.
So let's do a recap then, shall we? So in terms of social media time management, use scheduling systems. We need to talk a little bit more about that. But use calendar time blocks to block your time. Use a goal gate for your actions. What else? Anything else we want to put on that list?
We had some of the tools we mentioned were, I think there's lots of scheduling tools out there, Buffer app, things like that are out there, Agora Pulse, Hootsuite, all those tools that can save time for sure.
Yes.
Okay, let's get some people on. We're going to open up the seat. And
we have questions in the question tab too. So
we do have questions. I wanted to get to one question that I really liked about multiple platforms from Donald Brandt. Do you limit the number of platforms used? And I personally do. I cannot deal with Pinterest. I do it very sparingly. Phyllis loves Pinterest.
Well, the interesting thing about Pinterest is you go to Google Analytics, and if you find that Pinterest is your number 2 referred traffic to your website, then you work on Pinterest, which is exactly my situation. Because I'm a fan of Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram, those are my top referrers of traffic, whereas Andrea, Facebook is her top referrer. And obviously that's the reason, she's the Facebook queen. So you have to see what's working for you to figure out where to spend your time. You can't just say, well, maybe you need some data.
Yeah, for truth. I and I do get a lot of referrals from Pinterest actually. So that's why I do, I put on occasionally I go over there, do a few things, pin a few things, but I'm not really focused into Pinterest. So if you have Ian's saying Meet Edgar is a great tool, a little pricey. Yep. So if you guys want to jump on and have a question in there.
So it's really important to understand the difference between scheduling and campaigns. Okay, so scheduling is you go into something like Hootsuite and you do a bulk upload of maybe 100 tweets and you've scheduled them out for the next month, right? That's a scheduling tool. But a campaign tool is something that will put some tweet or post or link that you're doing in a regular scheduled time through time. And those are usually your evergreen posts. So there's a difference between scheduling and campaigns. Just out of her. Hello, Mission Impersonal. Hello.
Welcome, Barry. How are you? Is it Barry? No.
That was a show I did the other night. It was actually these 2 puppets. I have puppets on my show. I'm wondering. I'm just starting out, and then you got to check the show out because they're hysterical. They're like the Muppets, except they drink.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Drinking.
So my question is, I'm literally just starting. Sorry, my daughter's playing the drums in the corner.
Hi.
Oh, wait. So I'm just starting out, and I'm just wondering, like, what are the main ones that I would need to use? Because, like, for all this organization, this is huge. Because I got on here, and I have a buddy that's helping me, and I feel like I open one app, and then it's like, oh, but you need this one. Oh, but then you're gonna need this one, and then that's like the whole rabbit hole thing that they were saying.
Yeah. So true.
It's like so confusing to me because when does it stop that I need the next one? Like, where's the app that like puts it all together, or like, I don't know if I'm missing something, you know?
Yeah. And that is a huge problem. There is no one app that does everything, because it's just apps that people like. And we have a whole list of our top 10 tools, because we feel like
is that on your page?
Where is that, Phyllis? Our top 10
they need to get on our list, and then it gets sent to
you know
them.
what? We have a webinar. Here it is. It's our top 10 tools list. And actually, it's a webinar replay, 10 essential tools of a social media manager. And actually,
I can start with 10.
10. Do 10. Yes.
You know, that's enough.
And these tools are actually for all kinds of things. Things like, running your whole business. So we have some that are just really more focused around just managing social media.
Okay.
Yeah. So check that out, and then you'll be able to get that list. And hello, cutie booty. I know. Cute.
Oh, this is Leela. Sorry. Yeah. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I'm trying to. My buddy told me you guys were on, so I wanted to get on with you, but
cool.
It's a little crazy down here. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll check it into it. We're gonna
get back to drumming.
Let you get back to it.
All right.
I don't think anyone on Blab has had a girl drummer on.
I know. Hey,
that's
girl
under
drumming.
3.
Who else wants to join us about some
time-saving tips? And they don't have to be tools. They can be.
You have a question. Yeah.
Psychological tips and things like that. That's fine with us.
We're going to bring on
there's some other questions in the questions tab too.
Hi, Bryn.
Hey.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'll let you answer the questions in the questions tab, and then.
Well, I just there was Andrea has on there. Do you love what you're doing so much that you never want to retire?
So, that's a great question, because here's the thing about where I see my business going. And I think it's a series of pivoting to find what is giving you joy, what is bringing you the most joy in your business. And I think what's hard is that we're in an amazing time right now where we can do anything. We can have a YouTube show that brings us, makes us money. We can do, anything we want. It's just, you imagine it and you can do it. It's an amazing time we're in right now. And I think I love what I'm doing right now with Social Media Manager School, with the programs I have around Facebook advertising. And so I'm totally having fun with all of that. And when I see that I'm not having as much fun doing, and I feel like I'm not serving in my best capacity, then I might pivot a little bit and shift a little bit and move towards something that is bringing me more joy. So things like, I love speaking. So all of that, as long as I've got all of that, and I've got all of you wonderful people to hang out with. So.
And the interesting thing is, sometimes if you're finding a little less joy in your life, it's because you need to have a time-saving system or some tool there's some part of your business. And here's a little tip about using a calendar, and then Bryn, I promise we'll talk. So I
love this. This is all good.
If you use your calendar to put everything on there that you're doing, and you find that you keep sliding one thing over every day, that I'm not going to do that today, and you slide it to the next day, and then you slide to the next day, and then Friday looks like, work from hell because you slid everything over, right? So that's a real wake-up call for you to look at what those things are on that Friday list and say, what can I outsource? Who can be on my team? What is it that I don't enjoy doing in my industry that's causing me to not enjoy being here? And if you use that tool and actually follow through and do something with it, your life just really lightens up. So that's just a soapbox. I just got on my
I love outsourcing as much as possible. Sometimes it's hard to get started, but once you do, it's an addiction.
Yeah. So what's your favorite tool?
Yeah.
So I have two that I love that have been absolutely transforming to my business. The first one, I happen to use Calendly. It's a calendar sync.
We just talked about that earlier.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I wasn't here. So
nope, that's okay.
What I did is I went and bought a URL on GoDaddy, which is scheduleacallwithbryn.com. And it redirects to a page. And actually, I redirected to a page on my website that they could choose 15 minutes or 30 minutes and go from there. Best thing ever. I actually have it all over my LinkedIn profile if you want to have a conversation. Every time I connect with someone that I want to talk to, I say, whether we decide to work together or not, I'm confident our call will be full of insights. Here's a link to my calendar. Pick a time that works for you.
Yeah.
And so the number of conversations, because I'm really implementing that, oh gosh, R, I love him. He's one of my favorites. Hi, R. So the time, my time to first conversation is significantly reduced. My next favorite, it's a Chrome plugin. I have a bunch, but my next one is Auto Text Expander. Are you guys familiar with this?
No,
it's free. It will change your life. So you can put in all kinds of templates, whether it's 10 paragraphs, 1 paragraph, 1 line. I type BTE, it types out my email. I put in BTLI, it's my LinkedIn link. If I have LIR, it's LinkedIn reply. So whenever someone connects with me, and whenever you're in Chrome, it will expand your, and literally hours and hours and hours of saved time.
So it's sort of like canned response, only automated.
Right.
So you don't have to copy and paste. You just put in your
Well, we talked about canned responses, which allow you to save messages you type over and over. So that's a really interesting supplement to that, though.
Yes, that's really great.
Yeah, it just spits it out. You can do them on your phone too. On the iPhone, if you go to Settings, General, Keyboard Shortcuts, you can put them all on your phone too.
Yeah,
cool.
So it's phenomenal. It really has changed. Yeah.
Interesting you bring up the phone because voice texting for me has saved me a tremendous amount of time. So voice texting works really well on my phone, and Google understands what I'm saying like 98% of the time.
Yeah.
And so that just little tool has saved me a tremendous amount of time.
So what tool do you use there? What tool do you use there, Phyllis, on voice texting?
Well, it's built into the keyboard.
Oh, okay.
It's built into the keyboard. So at the bottom of the keyboard, there's a little microphone. You hit the microphone, you voice text it, and then fix it.
So I also use Dragon Dictation, which I believe was free. Yeah. But that's how I write all my blogs. So I write a blog a week. But if I have an idea in the car, I talk. I'm a much better speaker than writer.
Yeah. And
so I speak it, and then I email it to myself, and then I edit it.
Yeah, that's a great time-saving tool because I'm the same way. I'd rather talk it out. And I spend a lot of time in the car, and I would much rather do that. I'm just sitting in the car talking to myself, but I'm getting work done.
And
Barbara, it's productive time.
And Barbara, Night Writer, hi Barbara, is saying voice texting is in Google Docs now. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's cool. all integrated. You can just walk up to your computer now and say, computer on.
So great.
I'm going to hop off. Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and I wanted to bring Ari on for our next one. So thanks, Bryn.
He's one of my faves.
Thanks, Bryn.
Have a good one.
And Ari, help me because I want to understand how to say your first name properly.
Ara. You roll on the R's.
Ara.
Oh, I can't roll my R's.
Where are you from originally?
No.
All right.
I'm from the beautiful country of Norway. So
what do you do if you can't roll your R's? I'm just going to have to call you the big A or something. I don't know.
It's like you are, we are, they are.
So now you live in Arkansas, right? No,
where
are you?
I live in Mississippi, actually.
Mississippi. I knew it was down there south. So, from Norway to Mississippi. That sounds like just totally different places.
Yes.
So what's your favorite tool?
It's caused by one crazy thing that we all call love. So it's all about love.
Yeah, love.
Uh-huh.
All right. So what's your favorite tools?
Well, I wanted to get Phyllis a little comment on that. When I use tools like Dragon Dictate, it's just crazy. When you talk with an accent, It doesn't work really well at all because it's like Siri and Dragon. They want me to write some soft porn novel. So
well, that's what Ian was just saying. Siri doesn't work for Scottish people, and there's a YouTube video. I got to see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I wanted to cut off to the drummer. My favorite tool, of course, is myself actually, because
good point.
Because it's like from the hotel's point of view, which I work with primarily, is that they don't have the understanding of all these crazy tools that's out there. So I see it as my job to collect all those tools, and then they will primarily come to me, and I will be the tool for them. So I'm that one tool. Yeah. But of course, my favorite tool, which is I don't know why I didn't discover it before, but it's Grammarly without
right.
Like, Grammarly is a God-saving tool for us that had to do Google Translate up in our head. So.
Oh yeah, and do you have it integrated into your whole system now, so that even if you're on Facebook or wherever you are? It's awesome.
It's the only place it's a little tricky to use is actually on LinkedIn for whatever reason. It locks up a little on times when I use it on LinkedIn, but I can use it on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, all the social network. Is just awesome.
And then you get that email once a week that says how many times you made a mistake. And what your favorite mistake is, and how many times you made that. I mean, when I first got that email, I was like, "Oh wow! So when am I going to learn to put a comma after this thing? And why is it so hard for me to do this particular thing?" And Grammarly is really rocking it right now with their tools. It's awesome. Really nice.
It's a godsend tool when you write for us that write blogs and post a lot of posts, and it's just awesome. And even the free version does really great for you. So
and it has that Chrome extension that works with everything, and it's just fabulous. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, and of course, my new favorite tool is what you mentioned earlier. Rescue Time is also a great tool.
Yeah.
It's a little scary for some people.
I think there was also a question about using tools that block out certain sites. And I forget what that tool is, where you set time limits on how long you can be on Facebook, how long you can be on other social sites. And my husband used it for a while for things like news sites, where he would kind of go as a distraction from work, but then he would limit that and cut that off. And I don't know I forget what that is.
And then, of course,
in that matter, only I can answer Andrea what my favorite tool there is. That's my wife. She will kick me off when I've been like.
Well, don't call her a tool, though. I don't think she'll like that.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
She's not home now, so that's cool.
Yeah,
and they have those tools that block out ads on Facebook and things like that. So if you're distracted by ads, but don't do that, because I have ads over there, and I want you to click on my ad. And so I'm not fond of those blocking tools, but I haven't used those timing apps that would stop me from being inside a space, because I think I would get very angry if I was in the middle of watching a cat video and they told me to go. I would just be very angry.
Or if you were doing something, I mean, it's hard to block out social sites for us as social users because, obviously we need to block out things like, I don't know what kind of sites, CNN, or I don't know what, I'm trying to think of sites that are other sites that normal people go to, but I don't.
Yeah, no, and because we're sort of social scientists in a way, that we go in and we like to see how things work. For me, it's kind of fascinating to see why an ad shows up in my feed, or why I'm getting retargeted, or, I see that as interesting and worthy of research. And a lot of people don't know this, but when you see an ad on Facebook, you can click the drop down and see why you've been targeted to see that ad, and that can be really insightful to you. And then you can go, I tried to do this, you can go into who is able to serve ads to you, that whole list. It was like, I don't know, 4,000 or more ways that I could be targeted, and I was like, good Lord, you can't X out of manually enough of those to make a difference. So,
He'll find a way to target you. So good.
And
yes.
Before I hang up here, the last thing I want to mention that which is really awesome is the particularly now when you see on the way we can use Google Drive with the cloud technology, how way it's progressed is that the way we now can share documents with our clients is such a time saver, because now we don't have to send all these emails and wait for somebody to approve it and then go back. We now can put them in the cloud and share them on the spot, and that's such a time saver. I think the way Google Drive is just awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Number one, just all the Google product. I'm a Google fangirl, so
yeah, definitely Google Drive is a great tool, great
time saver
for sure. So awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Ari. And I'm just going to give a quick plug to our social media manager school that Ari just joined. So we're super excited. We're starting tomorrow, and I just put a little link in there too. So thanks.
Yeah, this is a good time of year for us. It's when the school opens. We only have it open for 2 weeks, and it closes tonight at midnight. And we're excited.
Look forward to starting.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. See you later.
We'll open up another seat if someone wants to talk about any tips that they've got, any time savers, ways that they save time, or put together systems. Definitely jump in. So great. I love all the tips we've been getting. Freedom, and I think the freedom and stay focused. Katyan mentioned stay focused, and Ask Kamari mentioned freedom or whatever. Yes. So awesome. Janet is coming in. Hey, Janet, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. And I met Phyllis at Social Boom. So,
yes. Cool. Yes, that's so cool.
Yeah, fun. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say, turning off the notifications on Blab for me is like
I know. I think it's funny that we're having a blab about time-saving tips, because Blab is a big distraction right now. Yes,
it is. I have certain days that I will log in, and certain days I'm like, I'm not even going to touch it.
I know.
Yeah, Blab hopping is a problem. I know.
It is. And then another one on my phone that I do like to use, similar to Toggl, but what I find is, like, right now my Toggl is still going, and I had another project happening, and then here I am on Blab. So, it's an app called Timer Plus. It's a very simple app on your phone. But what I like to do with that one is just set a timer. I go, okay, this project I predict will be 15 minutes. So I'm going to set that timer. It's kind of like a race. I think about it like with my son. He's your kid's age, Andrea.
Yeah.
We have the same boy's age, but 11. But it's like we race. You like to race against that timer.
Oh yeah.
And so that tends to be one of the things that I'm even better with Timer Plus than I am with Toggl. Yeah. Because Toggl just kind of times you, whereas this is kind of a race.
Down. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. If you have a competitive spirit, this would be a fabulous tool to use. And so easy on Google. You can just say, Google, set a timer for 10 minutes, and boom, it's on. And then you have 10 minutes to complete the task. I use that timer for a lot of things, especially when I think I'm going to get distracted. So using a timer for yourself is a top tool for sure. And to use it on your phone is a real smart tip.
Yeah. And another thing Ian mentioned earlier, he talked about going for a walk as a time-saving tip. And I actually use this all the time, because I find that you don't take breaks and you're less productive. You go out and you take a walk and you clear your head, you get out and you come back and you just get down to business. It's definitely, that's a great tip.
That's a good, and it's funny because when Facebook went down that one day, do you remember that? We were all joking and we're like, well, first off, we hit refresh about 100 times, and then is it really broken? But it's so funny because I was thinking, now I should go exercise or actually get up and go, So Stephen,
the protocol, what you're supposed to do when Facebook goes down is you go to Twitter, and then And then if we crash Twitter, then we have to go outside. So it's, you know, you go on Twitter and talk about the things you should be doing now that Facebook is down. It's such a funny thing. I actually love it when Facebook goes down, because when I go to Twitter, it's like watching 1,000 stand-up comedians and with their one-liners, and I just have a blast. I'm sorry, I do. So I just want to remind everybody, if you have a question, you have to do /Q, and then it makes that little button bar, and it also puts it in our tab. So that's a kind of cool thing to do. But Gina has a thing. Have we ever used Social Oomph for scheduling evergreen content? I've used Rignite, and I've used what else have I used for that?
But Social,
there's 2 or 3 of them. But not Social Oomph, I haven't.
Social Oomph is awesome. If you get in there, you've got these little libraries of content in there that you can use over and over. It's great for evergreen scheduling. I need to use it more, really, because I definitely, I've used it before and I don't go back into it. And again, it's just, you know, our own systems sometimes aren't in place.
And I would say mine would be Post Planner.
Post Planner, it's a good one. You know, Social Oomph, I used Social Oomph before it was Social Oomph, when it was just for Twitter. Do you remember? Way back when. Way back. It was one of the original Twitter tools. Yeah. And so I have used it, but not for probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm with you, Phyllis. That's exactly me too. That's one of those that I kind of let go a while ago. So, interesting. Well, thanks you guys for having me on. And good luck with your school too. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. We're very excited about the school.
Awesome. Yeah. Have a good one.
Yeah. So Eileen is saying Post Planner and Buffer combination for the win. Yeah. That is a great combo. I actually use Buffer and Hootsuite all the time. And well, you know what? I do use Post Planner too. I find that I use Post Planner for when I'm going to be away. I just load up a bunch of stuff and use it for content discovery a lot of times. Give me some great ideas. So, and we've got different Post Planner and Hootsuite. We've got, Post Planner and Buffer.
Why don't we talk about time-saving tips, tools, and systems for finding content? Because that's definitely a thing. And I know, I think one of the things that I was not aware of is a system called Content Gems. We had one of our students talk about it in the group today, and I have not checked it out. And I'm curious if anyone in the chat knows about this. And as far as what I use while everybody's putting in their comments and stuff for curating content and finding content is I use Flipboard. And I use Google Alerts, and I use LinkedIn Pulse, and what else do I use? And then to sign in as the page of the Facebook client and have liked so many people in their industry, so that the feed is like a curated feed of industry things. So those are my top things. So kind of curious what everybody else is.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of great tips in there. Feedly, Ian mentioned Feedly, and what was the other one he mentioned? I forget. I use Feedly all the time as well. And Triber, that was the other one you mentioned. Yes, Triber. I haven't not used Triber in a long time. And BuzzSumo is an awesome tool.
Yes.
I love, love, love BuzzSumo for finding content, because what I do, how I use it for finding content is I go in and type a subject word and then see what the highest shared articles are for that content. And it's not always relevant. So sometimes you have to kind of mess around with it. And I definitely love seeing what's getting shares already. So you know you're sharing valuable stuff, and sometimes you discover new things that you hadn't seen in different ways. So
nice. So it says you can use BuzzSumo. They have a trending RSS feature, which you can then subscribe to inside of Feedly. That's awesome. That saves a lot of time. It's interesting. You can also set up RSS posting inside of Hootsuite Pro, which I do now. And here's the thing. If you follow a blog or a content creator who always produces high quality content in your industry, then you can set up an auto tweet from that RSS feed from their blog posts. And I have that with like five bloggers that I love tremendously, and I have them auto feed into my Twitter, and that definitely saves me a tremendous amount of time.
Yeah, and Eileen's saying you can do RSS feed into Buffer. There's lots of ways to get an RSS feed automatically put out there. I use Hootsuite, and then I put an additional like message with that RSS feed so that I can make sure that I tag that person appropriately, or say something in front of it. And I have some posts that I auto tweet, but you have to be careful, of making sure that you know the types of content they're posting and not posting something weird. The other thing that I've noticed is I have some people auto tweet my articles, and what I notice is sometimes I'll title it as coming from me, and like I just recently wrote a post called "The Dumbest Thing I've Ever Done So Far," and so I had a lot of people tweeting that, and then I was like, "Oh wow, that's kind of." I didn't think about the fact that they're going to auto tweet that, and now it sounds like they're dumb,
Actually, it was somebody called me out on something the other day, and it sounded like I was claiming that I had done something, and you have to be very careful with those RSS feeds and just make sure they work for you. That's great. So other content tools, anybody want to jump in and tell us your content tools?
I'll unlock the seat if anyone wants to jump in and talk about a content tool. We're getting tons of great tips in there.
Yeah, I love If This and That. I have some very, very good recipes in there.
Yep. And Ian, awesome. Ian's
and Zapier too. Zapier and If This and That are perfect. Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Apologies for my webcam. I've left my good one at home.
No, it's fine. You're coming out loud and clear.
Good. Yeah, no, I love these tips that are coming through. It's really, really cool. It's good to get a bit geeky about all these tools, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been mentioning a few of these. I use Feedly as my base to subscribe to all the blogs and all the articles that I've subscribed to over the years and built that up. And I connect that to Buffer using If This Then That. So what I do, I think you need to have the pro account for Feedly. You have to pay, I think it's like $5 a month, but in my mind, it's worth it. And what I do is I go through Feedly every day, either on my phone or on the web, and I will read the articles that I want to share, and I'll just star them, or I think it's read them later. There's a little can check, and because I've got that connected with If This Then That, that then gets added to my Buffer queue, and it automatically gets shared to my Twitter followers. So I don't have to do anything else, and it saves me so much time. I do make sure that the articles are ones that I read and are ones that I want to share, but it saves so much other time that way.
That's a great idea.
It's interesting. I had set up a recipe once that every YouTube video that I favorited would post to my Facebook page, and I had to retrain myself to only like the videos that I thought would be appropriate for my page, because I go on YouTube and I like this, and so I had to retrain myself to do that. I probably need to sort of like tweak that system a little bit. But I love If This and That. That's a great tool, because all you're doing is one thing. You're doing what you would normally do, which is read the industry news or whatever. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
That's great
tip there.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I mean, I know you can. I think Eileen was saying you could do things like connect BuzzSumo RSS feed into Buffer and things like that. So there's lots of different ways. You just got to find the best way for you.
I know, and I think that's what our drummer friend was talking about. Was we get on these things and we say you've got to use this, you've got to use that, you've got to use this, but really you kind of need just a category of tool. That's what our webinar was about. Actually, is really kind of understanding what category you need, such as content discovery or scheduling or things like that, and use that one tool. Pick that tool out. Pick what you need done, and then pick a tool. Not you know, you don't have to use 15 different tools.
Yeah, because like in the category of social dashboard, there's probably 20 different tools. It's a very crowded field for that category of tool, but you really only need one. And so sometimes it's a little bit of shopping and asking around, and people who have already used it, what their impression is. That's what's so cool about our Facebook group is pretty much everybody's tried something at some point or another, and they have their own personal experience with it to share with everyone. So that's the cool. One of the tools that we have is our group, right? Because it's like its own little Google-ness. You can say, has anybody used Triber? And then, boom, we have information from people who have actually used it. So it's cool.
Awesome.
I will go and leave you to it.
All right.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. So cool.
We're not going to stay here all day?
I know I would like to, but we have to get stuff done, right? So we're going to just spend a couple minutes talking about our social media manager school. Someone just 10-minute just asked about that too. So our social media manager school is open right now. We start classes, and it is all based around growing your business as a social media consultant or manager. We have lots of different types of people in there who are using social media in different ways, people who are web developers who also offer social media services, but it's about really you as a business manager, as a social media manager, as a business, not maybe if you're like a florist who is using social media. So, but we've also had that discussion too, if it's still valid. So that course is open today until midnight, and classes start tomorrow. It's all online, 6 modules, tons of bonuses. We've got all kinds of things around the best tools to use. We talk about systems. We have forms. We have proposals, all kinds of docs that will save you time as a social media manager.
And lifetime access. You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but we're probably the only people in the industry that have lifetime access. And every time we update the school, you have access to it. It's really quite amazing. Yeah. And people from all over the world too. You know, we have this map where we show people from all over the world. They've joined the school. It's a nice, wonderful place.
Yeah, so Techphobia is saying, is it for beginners? And yes, we do have a whole beginner section on there where you getting started for basics and bonuses. And then that way you can get ramped up, and we also have advanced tips in there too in module 6 or 5. So so awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. Definitely go and check out Social Media Manager School if you're interested in learning more about that. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you so much for all your great tips around saving time and systems and how you organize your days as social media realms. So love you guys.
Bye-bye. Have a great rest of your day. Use some of those tools. Bye-bye.
Bye.